Chapter 1. Hi, honey. I'm home. Ryan's voice reverberated through the stillness, bounced off the bare walls, and came back to mock him. He set his lunchbox on the kitchen counter and leaned over to retrieve his supper from under the sink, a brand new bottle of Johnny Walker Red. Gripping the bottle by the neck, he moved to the living room and set it on the coffee table next to his vintage .357 revolver, the letter he'd written to his folks, and the picture of his platoon, Task Force Iron, 1st Armored Division, 4th Brigade. One more item, and he could begin his nightly ritual. He retrieved the snapshot of Teresa from his billfold, laid it down, and took his place on the couch. Letter, pictures, gun, bottle. Teresa. Reaching out, he traced the laminated photo with his finger. His throat tightened. God, he missed her. How different his life would be if he hadn't insisted they go riding that morning 5 years ago. He'd be coming home every evening from some swank advertising agency job. They'd have a couple of kids by now, a family. His family. He'd be surrounded by love instead of this soul-sucking loneliness. But he wasn't entirely alone. Not if the hollow-eyed ghosts plaguing him counted. He closed his eyes, and images from the suicide bombing near Mosul played across his shattered mind. Jackson, radio ahead and have Staff Sergeant Riley pick up the pace, Lieutenant Langford ordered. If the civilian truck gets too close, we'll fire a few rounds into the ground to warn them off. You hear that, Gunny? The lieutenant called to him over his shoulder. Yes, sir, Ryan shouted from his place in the artillery turret. Yeah, he'd heard all right. He should have aimed the M240B machine gun straight into the payload before the truck got anywhere near their platoon. If he had, the IEDs would have detonated in the desert instead of in the middle of their convoy. 5 soldiers died. Soldiers whose backs he'd sworn to protect. Familiar sensations gripped him. Sweat beaded his brow, and dread banded his chest until he couldn't draw breath. Powerless to stop it, he rode the wave of internal chaos, helpless to keep from being pulled under. Blow the suckers out of the sand! Shoot to kill! Shoot to kill! Lieutenant Langford shouted. Ryan opened fire, sending a flurry of metal casings raining down on their Humvee. Too damned little, too damned late. The truck detonated, plunging them into the fires of hell, turning the insurgents into pink mist. Their Humvee lifted and flipped. Jettisoned out of the turret, Ryan flew through the air amid the flaming debris and superheated particles of sand. Bones snapped and cracked on impact. Fire burned through his uniform. He rolled in the sand to put it out and tried to curl in on himself to protect his head. Unimaginable pain assaulted every inch of his broken body. Seconds passed. Pain-filled, life-altering seconds of mayhem followed by the moans and screams of the injured and dying. Choking on the smell of burning plastic and the acrid stench of singed hair and flesh, was it his? He opened his eyes to survey the damage. Bad decision. His best buddy lay in pieces, not 3 feet from him. The back of his skull had been blown away, along with most of his left side. Jackson's eyes were open, empty, and lifeless, an expression of shock permanently etched on what remained of his face. Ryan forced himself onto his side to vomit. Another mistake. Grit thrown by the desert wind peppered his raw, exposed burns. The edges of his vision darkened, the blackness spread, and the nightmare around him faded. Pressing his fists into his eye sockets, he tried to dislodge the memories eroding his psyche. Jackson had a wife and kid to get home to. His best friend had not deserved to die like that. No one deserved to die like that. The familiar vice-like guilt squeezed the air from his lungs, and rage roiled through him.